Hello and welcome to the We Are Birmingham podcast. I'm Chris Golding.
I'm Matthew Elliott.
You are? Did you forget them? Briefly.
I had to have a think about it, yeah.
And we're back. How's your... I was going to say, as ever, we're joined by the vegan, but we're not because he's abandoned us. He's left us to it tonight and we're...
I'm taking photographs of pulp this evening, I believe.
The what, mushed up oranges?
Yeah, possibly. Speaking of which,
yeah, I'm not so lucky, unfortunately. And I'm in charge. I'm handling the broadcast. So if it goes wrong, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Hopefully everyone can hear us and all goes smoothly. If not, fuck it. So how have you been, mate? How's your summer so far?
busy, stressful, emotional, sad. Yeah, a lot. All the above. I've just had a very intense few days of travel and some work stuff, family funeral and stuff like that. But it's been pretty rough. I am not functioning very well on a lack of sleep, but I'm back now. So yeah, last few weeks have been pretty mad, to be fair. Just well, everything. My house is crazy anyway, as most people that listen to us and watch this know. They're all wild. But yeah, if everything else has been going on, it's just been a little bit just a bit much lately. So I'm hoping now things will slow down, get back to some form of normality again. I've only got 1 week left of work. The girls have got 1 week left of school, and we're off on holiday for 10 days. So I'd like to say that would be relaxing, but it's not that relaxing to go on holiday. But at least I can switch off from a few things for a little while.
Get some runs in elsewhere.
Yeah, I'll be running around Wales for a bit. I'm climbing Mount Snowdon actually, so that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. Not taking the girls with me on that, obviously.
Is that to get away from the family?
I'm just doing it with a couple of my brother-in-laws who are doing it. So I've never done it before. I had a chance to do it a couple of years ago with work, and it just fell around the same time I was on paternity leave with the youngest. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that amongst other things. So
good.
Yeah, how about you?
I don't know if I'm allowed to say because last time around I wasn't allowed to say, but I did mention it a few months ago on the podcast that we're in the process of moving house. No, in the process of trying to buy a house. Now a bit closer, found somewhere, and it's hopefully going through. So that's been pretty stressful on top of everything else in life. But yeah, it's hectic. So my summer sort of hasn't got going yet, but I'll have to.
You wait till you actually start having to get ready to move everything and stuff like that.
I'm looking forward to it.
You say that now.
Yeah. But yeah, otherwise just same old work and life. It is what it is. The 2-year-old for us. Have you just realised that the wrong mic was being used?
No, the sound is far away from it, so it wasn't picking it up. But I've just hopefully that's sorted now. Anyway, should be.
I don't know if that's it.
Be sorted.
Yeah, leave me in charge. Leave me in charge. This is what happens. Just give us a test.
I think that's fine. Are we good? Are we good?
I can hear you. I can hear.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll do. I thought I was probably speaking too quietly, so.
No. I think it was picking up your other microphone through the camera. So I fiddled with a thing, and it said to change your microphone. So hopefully that's going to work now. All right.
Got it running through the mixer, so that should hopefully be fine now.
Good.
I think so.
Right then. So shall we talk about some football? Not that there's been much happening.
Well, before we get started, I mentioned a minute ago about the family funeral. So it was my nan that passed away. So it was my dad's mum. So so that's where the Birmingham stuff comes from for me, the blue stuff. So dad's side of the family, it's been a very very tough few weeks for certainly for my dad, my uncle, my auntie. My dad has been caring for my nan pretty much daily with his wife for the past, I don't know how many months, quite a lot. So yeah, I know my dad definitely insists. My uncle probably will. My auntie probably won't. But I just want to dedicate this to not only my nan but to my dad and my uncle as well, because I know how stressful and upsetting the last few weeks last few weeks and months has been for them. So yeah, this one goes out to you guys.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I know exactly how hard it is, and I'm sure that most people that listen have lost someone at some point. So and it is a terrible loss for the family and a struggle. Yeah, my thoughts go out to all of your family. That I know that a lot of them that listen. So thoughts out to you guys.
Thank you. Right, football is then. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get on to it. Right,
Where should we start? Where do you want to
sip a
start?
beer and we'll get on to it.
I don't know. Do you know what? I don't normally drink at all during the week or at home. The last few days, it's just been for like one of those. I didn't drink at the wake yesterday because I got a late flight home, and I'd have to drive from Belfast to get home. By the time I got in, it was like 12:30, 1:15. And even though I've been like on my ass all day, just before I set everything up, I'm like, do you know what? I'm just going to sit and do this with a beer because why not? It's Friday tomorrow. It's almost the weekend, and I'm working from home tomorrow. So one beer.
It's basically the weekend.
Yeah.
Why
There or
not?
thereabouts. Yeah, where do you want to start? Because although not loads of stuff has been going on, there is obviously quite a lot of rumours about it's that silly season of transfers. We've probably been linked with about 15, 20 players. I think probably about half of those we could probably debunk and say what and sort of put our thoughts on bits. But I guess James Beedle's a good place to start because that's definitely happening, isn't
in
it?
goal.
Yes, yeah.
Well, as far as we were aware, it was. I was then told the other day that the reason that it hadn't been, and I don't know how true this is, the reason it hasn't gone through is because he's contracted to Sheffield Wednesday until the end of June on his loan.
Yeah, so I thought the loan only ran until the end of May. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure about that. But obviously he's away with England under 21, so maybe there's
A
a
whole
bit
lot
of
there.
a grey area there. But from the people you've probably spoken to, it sounds like it's all pretty much agreed in principle, if not I's dotted, T's crossed. I thought I've been known for getting that the wrong way around, so
Eyes crossed.
I even second guessed myself for a second there. But yeah, I mean, we'll start there. I mean, it's old news as such, so I don't think that many people will be interested in talking about this for ages. But how do you feel about it? Where is your head at with the James Beadle thing?
So originally, talking to you guys about it, I said I could see that it'd be a decent signing for almost a backup, someone that comes in and is better than Peacock Farrell to have to call in. But we don't have to rush out and panic and buy someone. And there's not that. I mean, Allsop's going to be competent in the Championship. He was for Hull. He was highly rated for Hull. It's that competition. It's going to be more competition than Peacock Farrell, isn't it? So there's that. Not been massively impressed with what I'd seen from him in the under 21 Euro competition, and Sheffield Wednesday fans that there was. So if you look back over time, there they've highly rated him, but in the last few months
It's a bit of a
Not so
roller
much.
coaster with them. If you look at some of the, I mean, it's very hard to take people's opinions off the message boards because it's like isolated. But then you look at just, there's some people that really like him, some people that don't, some people that think he has certain strengths, and other people refer to that as development areas or weaknesses. And Brighton obviously think a lot of him because there was, I think there's been a number of teams that have tried to pay for him, or tried to buy him, and they just have no interest in selling him. I think we tried to buy him, and they have no interest in selling him. Clearly, they see him as a future number one for them, and potentially a future number one for England. But I'm with you from a goalkeeping basics point of view, and I think we probably do have to remember that he's what, 21.
Yeah.
Is he 21? Yeah.
Yep.
So he has a lot of development to do. Now, he looks okay from a shot stopping point of view, although some of the stuff I've read and some of the stuff I've watched seems to be this. He seems to parry the ball back into danger areas, which is obviously something he'd have to work on. For someone that's 6'7", his command of the area and high pointing the ball also seems to be a little bit of a problem. Again, could come with age. But that's the thing that actually bothers me about Ryan Allsop.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
was
like, I
gonna
don't
say
think his command of the area is as good as it should be. And he's at the point now where that probably isn't going to develop because he's what, 31, 32 years old now. It's still young for a goalkeeper if you in that sort of, if you look at it that sort of way, but he's not going to change much. And Beedle certainly isn't anywhere near as good with the ball at his feet as Ryan Allsop is. So yeah, for me, I don't know. I don't think it certainly makes the goalkeeping department stronger, but I don't think it improves the starting 11, if that makes sense.
I agree with you. Yeah, and Zarking in the live chat has just said we want someone to challenge Allsop, so a quality second keeper is a must.
Yeah.
Which I agree with, but then also we're still trying to build this team and to add quality. There's players in that squad that we need to replace this season. No, you can only play one goalkeeper. So for me, it maybe wouldn't be the priority at the moment. I long term, yeah, I totally agree, but I wouldn't rush out and sign someone. There might be someone that's available for free next summer.
I think
And
my
it's-
issue as well, that I would, if we were taking him on loan, it was like with a view, or there was an option there to take him permanently, then I would be a little bit more behind it. I'm just a little bit. I don't really see the long term thinking because Brighton will
it's
be expecting us to play him
Yeah.
because they want him to be their number one at some point, and they need
or
him
we
to
pay
develop.
up for it.
Yeah, because
Or
we
you-
will. I mean, I think Brighton are one of those teams that do penalise clubs for not playing,
Yeah.
not playing loan players. So that'll be. I mean, that might impact Craig Gardner. It might impact the club in general. But if Chris Davies and his coaching staff aren't happy with James Beedle, they won't play him.
No,
So
no,
they'll just have to.
which we've seen.
Yeah, yeah.
But you've just said it there that they want him to be their number one. They see him as a future number one. So I mean, unless it was going to be a ridiculous amount of money, I don't think that they'd be willing to listen to offers.
Yeah.
I don't believe they are, and I think that they only want him to go out on loan. I don't see how they'd be happy about him going here and not playing. But equally, like you've just said, Davis, I don't think would play him if he was being forced to. So Ben from Blues Breakdown has just messaged in, balls on the block then lads, who starts game one, Beedle or Allsop? I think for me it's Allsop.
If it was me, and I still have my question marks over Ryan Allsop, and I know I'm in a minority, but there are certain aspects of his game that I think will be exposed again in the Championship. But I've talked about that before. I think for me he's earned the right to start this upcoming season. the thing he probably has in is it depends on how long Beedle's going to be out there with England in the under 21s. How soon does he come back? Does he get extra rest before he comes and joins up with our squad? That is also going to have that. I mean, he's already got chemistry, I guess, with the current team. For me, it's still Allsop, but I have a feeling that it will end up being Beedle that starts first game of the season, even though I don't necessarily agree with it.
On the one hand, I can.
Hey, I got it. I got it.
Everyone else.
My dad actually did that joke. I think in our WhatsApp group with my uncle and then someone else I know. So yeah. So
on the one hand, I can see Allsop starting. On the other hand, I can see Beedle. There you go. For me, it's Allsop all day long. But time will tell. Should we move on from keepers because that's. Have you got any more to say on him?
no, I don't think so. I think we probably still spent about 5 minutes longer than I was expecting to talk about it, but it felt like we just kind of got into a bit of a rhythm there.
We've got a lot to go through. There's chats coming in, and this has been mentioned a few times now. Kyogo.
Yeah, that looks legit. Sounds legit. I think that might actually be
Legit.
I think that might be down the line a little bit. I think there's potential there for that to materialize over the next 3 or 4 days.
Is that a WAB live pod exclusive?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I think there's people spoke about it already. Like when the Japanese media release a story about stuff, it's very rare that it's
they
not
put something out then.
That's where it came from. So
Okay.
yeah. So my
so
gut feel.
you're gonna have to excuse me when we were having the little introduction and I was saying like things are busy. I follow pretty much nothing at the moment, so you're on your own here tonight, mate.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. No. So there was someone like a Japanese journal put something out earlier to say that it's likely that the move could happen, but of course everyone takes these transfer rumours with a pinch. Well, some people take them with a pinch of salt. Others get in a tiz about it. You tend to find when the Japanese media puts stuff out like that there's actual real traction, that there's something going on. It's not, they don't put stuff out the same way our media do, where it's all sort of fed by agents and stuff like that. And so I think that's legitimately going to be I think that could well happen. Whether or not it's permanent or a loan, I don't know. I mean, they only paid like 10 million for him or at least the fee was believed to be 10 in the region of 10 million, and that was in January. They're willing to let him go for a cut price deal.
So the big question is, who is he, guys? Where does he play?
Well, he's a striker, a centre forward. He can play off the left, I think, as well. I think he's probably paid maybe 50, 100 games. That's quite a difference, isn't it? 75 from the left, but now he's a natural. Yeah. He's pretty much a striker. His movement is really, really good. He's really intelligent, and he's a proper finisher. He'll be far and away, if we sign him, the best finisher at the club. No one else will be close to him. For me, though, now it's good having a lot of players to choose from, but for me, he's Japanese Alfie May on steroids. So okay. I would guess it might signal the end of Alfie's career at Blues, if not immediately, but maybe in January, because I think he'll want to stay, because he's obviously made a big deal about wanting to get to the Championship and stuff like that. I don't think he'll want to leave unless another Championship club will move for him. No, I don't want Alfie May to go because I love him and I think he's a great person to have around the squad, at least from looking from the outside in. But this is, if you were going to compare him to any of our other strikers, he's the closest. They're the most similar. But yeah, Kyogo, I think, would be a real coup for us in the Championship.
So BCFC Fan TV messaging: would you play Stano on the wing if we signed Kyogo? Which is another one of those fitting players in.
No, I wouldn't, because we'll get onto this when we talk about some of the other players. Like, we need proper wingers. We need out and out pace. We need some creativity coming in from both sides. I just wouldn't. I think you've got what you remember is take into account here. Kyogo's 30, he's 31. I think when I looked at his transfer market page, I think he's 31 in January. Jay's still 21, 22. He's got his whole career ahead of him. We don't know if Kyogo's going to be on loan just for one season or whether he's going to be here for a little bit longer. If he does sign, assuming he signs, then no, I think they just fight. They don't fight physically. They just fight for the place.
We've done enough over the years, of that, haven't we?
There'll be plenty of opportunity for both of them to get game time. I don't think you could play them together. I don't think that would be possible. I mean, I think would be better suited playing Kyogo off the left, but again, we're looking at buying wingers, aren't we? I mean, we've been linked with about, I don't know, we're into double figure. I think we're not far off double figures now.
It's like one of those lists where you pick it up and it just unravels.
Pretty much. No, I don't. I mean, there probably will be games where they do that because they can. We know how Chris Davis likes to set up. Sometimes you might have like Stansfield sort of almost tucking in. I think you're more likely to see Stansfield play as like a 10 than anything else. But yeah, I'm excited about Kyogo Furuhashi because I think he would be a real. I think I said it a minute ago. A real coup. I think it would be a real statement of intent. Of a signing, and it'd be a real good way to kick off our transfer business for the summer.
So where do you want to go next? Have you got your list ready?
I've got a thing. Should we just quickly go through some of the stuff that we know is not true? Because I know there's been a lot of talk about. Have you got that list? I don't know how I put it.
I have.
There we go. So we'll just package them all up in one to make it easy. Some of these transfer rumours are older than others. We've got Shea Adams, Tom Fellows is a more recent one. Louis Barry, Sonchi Hansen, who we did have interest in last season, but understand that was nipped in the bud pretty quickly. Ted and Mengi, who obviously had on loan a few seasons back. And then I think there's Mikey Moore with Spurs was the other one. I think that's it. Is there another one? Oh, Louis Oppo, is it? Oppie?
Yeah.
Oppo? I said it's not Oppo. Oppo's a make a phone, isn't it? Oppie, is it? Oppie, yeah. So I believe that isn't true either. So I actually quite like the look of him when I went having a look. It's a shame that they're not true. So packaged up, we can forget about them. Not there's nothing in those, but that still leaves about another 147 players that we've been linked with over the past few, probably just today.
Right. There's and I'll tell you where we're going to go first because we've got a comment in the chat from Miles Garrington. Anything in Damari Gray?
Yes. So
yeah, probably not massively strong or massively lightly, but yes.
Yeah, I think it was very much I understand, and I think you're the same that this was very much his representatives coming to us and having a conversation, and not us going out asking about availability. Yeah, so obviously keen to try and come back to England. You would have thought it'd have some Premier League suitors. He's on somewhere between 75 and 100 grand a week. So let's be honest, like there's probably not many clubs in the Premier League or the Championship that are going to be willing to pay anywhere near that. I mean, there might be one or two.
Cut.
So yeah, that is going to have to be the case. It's up to him where he wants to go. There is a belief that he does want to come back to Blues, which would suggest maybe there aren't as many clubs interested in him as you'd think. I like the idea of a ball carrying winger with pace, with a bit of trickery. We're seeing what he can do. I mean, even what is he now, 28, 29, he's still probably going to be quite effective. My only concern is you just look at the talent he has, and I know it's not everything, but his output in terms of goal contributions for goals and assists has always been a little bit disappointing from my point of view. But that's not to say he's
And
not talented, because he obviously is, but he's just earned all this money out there, and how much drive has he got to want to improve, be better, get promoted back to Premier League with Blues. I'd be I'm not saying that he wouldn't be committed, but I would have my reservations about it.
yeah, I'm not sure how likely it is anyway. I think that it might be one of those where it's too expensive, and maybe just and something that maybe could happen later on in the window if it was still available, and if
That'd be my feeling. If
other
they
transfers
want
hadn't
him to
happened.
go, and there's sacrifices willing to be made by certain parties, and but again, by that point, you would hope that we have our wingers sewn up. But
Hope so.
I'm sure he's still got something. But I definitely, we need ball carriers in this team without a doubt. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think there is interest of some description, but I think it's probably unlikely.
Next,
Have we got any more in there, or not?
no, Dean Stevens has said just subscribe, but he was mint at Celtic. That was about Kyogo before.
Oh yes, yeah. No, he was very good there. Some of his, I think there's an actual. I ended up going back and watching some of it earlier on whilst I was having my dinner. But there's like an actual YouTube thing, video footage of about 30 minutes of every single goal he scored at Celtic, or at least every Premiership goal he scored at Celtic, and you can just see there like his movement. He's a bit of a goal poacher, great finisher. So yeah, I'd recommend anyone that's got reservations about him just go and watch those videos, because you can see how how intelligent his movement is, and his different range of finishes as well. So definitely worth 29 minutes of your time, I think it was.
Is that how long it was?
Something like that. Yeah, it's like 29 minutes and 30 seconds or something. But I guess if we're talking about, sorry, go on.
I was going to say I want to go next to the potential next Avenger. But we've got Thor.
Oh, go on.
So
Yes.
the next one would be Ant-Man,
Who's
who's actually a product of the Cornella Academy. Believe
yeah,
it
so
or
he's
not.
been
Well, not, but yes.
he's been around a bit, hasn't he? When he was younger with his mum, I think they'd moved to Spain and stuff like that, and he was at Barca and things. But obviously,
And Cornella. Hey, signing from Cornella.
I feel you find a lot of players that were at Cornella or Barcelona had done one or the other normally, which we obviously spoke about years ago. So
Yeah.
I've got something for Cornella later on actually, which will have so remember that so I don't forget.
Do you want to do it now?
Obviously, Oliver Ant-Man is one of Ben from Blues Breakdowns. I think he was somebody he brought up last season, not shortly after I think we'd signed Willemsen, and he brought him up.
Take. Oh, was it? Or was it towards the end of the season? I remember
might-
seeing a post from him saying, "Go
Yeah.
and look at their club." And
I've seen a
guy.
couple, and then is it James, the other Blues supporter chap that does some really good analysis as well. Shout out to him. I forget his handle, but he's done a few good threads recently as well. I think he mentioned him as well. But yeah, I just associate Ant-Man with Ben at Blues Breakdown, but obviously physical.
yeah, there you go. Ben said it was earlier this year, just after the January window.
Oh, there you
So
go.
there you go. If we split the difference, it was in the middle.
See, since Ben's in the chat there, he can tell us all about him, can't he? So
Well, so I did ask him earlier on, is there any trend? He was going to join us, by the way, but he couldn't get on in time, and because I'm in charge of all of this, it just wasn't going to happen. In the next few weeks, Ben, we'll have you on if that's all right, mate. So he said, JRS, Ant-Man, Poku, all wide right players who like to operate inside, allowing the fullback to get forward and hold the width. Ant-Man and JRS had physicality out wide too. So there you go.
There you go.
Rakisaki.
Raksaki, yes.
Rakisaki.
He's another one we obviously linked with. We've held interest in him before. I think there might be a chance of getting him, but I think, again, I'm not sure if it'd be a loan or permanent. How do you feel about since you mentioned it, the Poku thing? Are you bothered? What's your general thought?
We've obviously had our discussions on this. At first, I didn't think that he'd be a Chris Davis type player from what I've seen of him. Obviously,
He's certainly not now, is he?
there's the potential there for these players. So it could be that Poku's been at Peterborough, and I think we mentioned this towards the end of the season when it was being talked about, that he's been given that job by Darren Ferguson where he can just... He's free to attack, the sort of Dembele role where it's like, don't worry about defending, you're our danger man, you get up there and just pose a threat. For that, I didn't know whether he would be a Davies type player, not having the work rate, but there's potential for him to say, well, actually, I can do that, I've just been told not to. The other side of it now is that I would have probably quite liked to have had a player that offers that side of the game, that's a bit more dangerous, a bit trickier. But it's taken that long that now he's obviously not committed to coming in to Blues. So, and I know it's football, so people do want to see what their options are. But this has been that long that it's like there's clearly zero commitment there. So I'm happy to move on. We want to get business done quickly. If you're not going to help and do that, then we'll move on. We'll find someone else. And I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I think it was fairly evident after, even though there was a lot of people still sort of holding out hope. I think it was fairly evident about 2 or 3 weeks ago that just we'd probably given up on it. I think we would have got the bid. I think if it was going to happen, that's why one of my kids is shouting. The youngest, I assume my baby must still be awake, which is wild because it's 9:45 nearly. Anyway, I'm out of that.
Are they watching live on YouTube?
Maybe they are. Yeah, they might be shouting "Daddy" otherwise. But, yeah, I'll be honest. I'm not too fussed. I mean, there seemed to be an almighty meltdown when it was suggested that he was going to join Rangers. And a lot of people saying, "Oh, it lacks ambition," and well, I'll be honest. I have no love for Rangers for various reasons. I was brought up in a town that was very strong Rangers connection in Corby.
How's that arm?
Yeah, there's the broken arm as well, and then obviously there's a lot around here also. So I have very little love for them, but they're massive. Like Rangers are huge. So no matter what you think of the SPL or Rangers, the club, or their supporters, or the guys that break your arm, Rangers are massive, and they're more likely going to play in the Champions League, albeit the knockout stages, or get humped in the group stages, whatever. So if they, they're a big club, and I wouldn't begrudge someone. I don't even know if they would pay that much more than we would offer either. So they're a big club, so I can understand him wanting to go there. Some people, I think you even said it's an easier league to play in. Well, you could say that, but then you look at players that have struggled like Bakuna and Dowell and Ben Davies, who have all done well down here and struggled up there. So maybe it's the pressure cooker of Ibrox and that side of things. I don't know, but he doesn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here. If we couldn't convince him, early doors, then, I think Chris Davis said something about actually sitting down and speaking to the player and understanding. I don't think it was him that said looking into the whites of their eyes, but I mean, he is that kind of guy that he would be able to know straight away if they didn't if you didn't want him to be here. So I'm not fussed. There are plenty of other wingers in the sea. So
I'm not having
that's
you.
really creepy.
Yeah, not having you. Not having you.
For those who aren't watching, Chris just went right up to the camera and is
Oh, yeah.
eyeballing me.
Everyone
So-
watches now, don't they?
So, yeah, not too fussed, to be honest. So we will
Looked
find another
Into
winger.
the white of your eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, isn't it? That saying. I'm sure there's a reason for it. But... So yeah, I'm glad we've moved on and we weren't hanging around all summer because we don't need that sort of distraction. And as I've already mentioned, people like Ant-Man and Raksaki and whoever else we've been linked with. I'm sure there's more, isn't there? Oh, Carlos Vicente Alvarez. He looks fairly useful. Surprising. I don't know whether. I think there's probably genuine interest there, but again, looks like it might be an expensive one. Matteo Joseph, who's a striker but can also play wide. He looks like someone that would probably fit into the system pretty well. And who was the other one? There was probably another one that I can't remember. Can you remember?
No.
Winger wise? No.
Fujimoto.
He's more of a 10, but he can play in that
I'm
sort
going through
of
this list.
Yeah. So it's probably a good segue actually onto Fujimoto. So that's the one that's cropped up a few times. That's in, I think Portuguese media had mentioned that the conversations between Blues and Fujimoto were going well, but for everyone I'd spoken to, and I think it's been published in Birmingham Mail now, that Blues are concerned about his knee issue. It makes me wonder though, like, so
and we don't need to sign players with injury issues.
well, yeah. My thing is though, like, what information do they have? Like, have they got medical shared with them already? Because surely they need to get him in and do the medical in-house and then make an informed decision. What is it that... Have they done something with him already? Have they got records from his previous club? I mean, you can do that. You can get... you can ask that previous clubs for records. I think clubs do share that sort of stuff. Have they? Is that what they've done? I don't know. Just makes me wonder. Like, are they haggling over all of? Because obviously there's no transfer fee to be paid. This is all going to be simply down to wages and probably injury clauses and things like that.
Stick one of them in. Don't forget squad sizes as well, though. So signing a player that could potentially be out for a season isn't what you want in an ideal world.
You don't want another Emil Hansen on your hands, is what you're telling me.
Oh, don't, mate.
I'm not going to start on him again.
So going back to Ant-Man, that's the clips that you see of him on YouTube and social media. He looks very similar. I mean, granted, to a higher level.
But he looks far more physical, doesn't he? He just looks more robust than Emil Hansen.
It doesn't look like his masking tape is gonna fall apart off his knee and be out for
he just looks
6
like
weeks.
it just looks like a bigger unit to me. But he's got that sort of. I mean, you look at the amount of assists and goals that Hansen scored, and you're always wary of that for when it's coming from the Dutch league. We spoke about that before we'd signed it, before when we'd just signed him. I think Ant-Man looks like he's more physically ready to play in a more physical league. That was too many physicals there. It felt like it. Let's get physical, Chris.
Very physical. Very physical. Do you think we're halfway or not yet?
Halfway through the list or halfway through the podcast?
Both.
I think is there anything else as any in chat that we've not mentioned that anyone is
Not about players. Season ticket talks.
Well, I'm sad because I went into the ballot and didn't get one. Me and my dad went into the
Good.
ballot.
Right,
And didn't get one.
we'll segue to that then, because MB said in the chat, thoughts on the season ticket ballot. I'll just read you a couple of comments that are in there. Ponder Frogs Limited. No, that was about Dykes. Zarking said, gutted I lost out. MB said, did you have much booking history? Not sure if it had any effect.
Well, we know that some people got a ballot and they'd never even been to a game of football before.
I know of a what's it called? A client reference that was created the day that the ballot closed. No shady business or anything like that, and it was picked in the ballot. So I think it was done as a ballot, as it was.
Random.
As it was random, and you know, I get both sides of this, that there was booking history and whatnot, and people have missed out when they've done a lot of games last season. And I don't know if there were any dark arts taking place. I'm sure that some favours were called in somewhere.
There's
along
always
the line,
going to be
because
that,
there's
and I
gonna be-
don't
yeah.
really like. That is just the nature of business and the world. That there's, if
It's-
you know people that
it's
know
life, isn't it?
people, you take advantage of. People will take advantage of it, and that's is always going to happen, whether it's we think it's fair or not. I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's always going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, agreed. Some people got them, some people missed out. It's I don't know how. Like, yes, they could have taken this year's into account, this year's tickets, but then people who went to 20 games the year before could have said, well, what about me? And the year before, and I don't know. I think I know that people have their own situations that mean that they couldn't get tickets, and for me, it feels a little bit like, I don't like to say it's not like a piss take or anything, but the signs were there at the start of last season, and I told a few people, I was like, get a season ticket, because it's going to be, if you don't, it's going to be tough to get one with what's coming. And that's where we are now. It's that there's 14,000 people on a waiting list, and they've had to just raffle them off, essentially. People, like I say, people will miss out, and it's sad. But you can't please everyone, and somewhere you've got to draw the line.
Yeah, me and my dad went in on on the ballot. We put in both our client references together, so it was like 2 seats to basically put in 2 seats and put in the client references, and yeah, we both got the same email to say. But then there was, I know, I was talking to another family member yesterday, and he mentioned like he had friends with booking history that didn't get anything, and so obviously at random. It'd be interesting to know like how many of the ones that did are going to take up the offer, because it's all well and good saying at the time, yeah, I want a season ticket, but then when it comes to paying £400-500, like how ready are people to do that? So
A lot of them as well that I've seen online are people that have bought them for their kids, and their kid, they found a seat that's like 2 seats away or the row in front, so they've managed to get them. But there's going to be people that can't find a seat near them and that they haven't been able to book them. Sorry, I cut you off there. What? Do you want to finish what you're saying?
No, I mean, I was just going to say that I obviously wouldn't make every single game, but my dad would probably go to the majority of them now. He has less commitments, and I mean, either his wife or mum.
And then you could put the tickets back on the resale site.
Well, that, but also, yeah. No, I'll just be honest about it. Or go to my maybe my cousin. So I mean,
who's also called Matthew Elliott.
He's called Mark Elliott, but yeah, he'd probably go. So it's close enough. It's M Elliott, so it'd still work. But yeah, so there's that ticket would always go to somebody, and then obviously when I was back, I would get it anyway. So look, I'm quite honest about it. There are plenty of people that do the same thing. It's not like they're going to like idiots and scoundrels and whatever. So I know they like to do the ticket exchange stuff, but there's always going to be people there that you know, and that's always going to be most people's first port of call. Do you want my ticket this weekend? Because I can't go.
Yeah, it will. A couple of comments on that. Gary Langston, who actually sits by us, said that's why I got my season ticket last season, which I think that was in reference to what I said about jumping on it when you did. Zar King said, I wouldn't have minded missing out to people who had been more, though. It's much fairer. I completely get that mindset. Don't know if I agree with it completely, because I just think that it's a nightmare to figure that out, and where do you draw the line? So
I think one of the things I will say is the amount of sniping that seemed to be going on by. There's always a portion of fans that are like, "Oh, you've only got yourselves to blame. If you weren't interested in following us, X, Y, and Z." And as you said, as people have their reasons, you don't need to like give people a kick in about not getting in on the ballot. I got it. I didn't get it, and I was quite disappointed, as you know. But I mean, it's not the end of the world. I'll still be able to get over. Hopefully still be able to go to games. I still should be fortunate enough for that to happen. And so I don't even know how many of these people are going to take up the tickets.
There might be a few more people that get that email saying there's.
It might end up being like a second ballot or something like that. I don't know, but
I think that they've said that they'll redraw if they're not sold.
Oh, they said that, because I didn't see anything to suggest that.
I'm sure that's what it said. But I get that it's massively disappointing for people, especially when we're on this upward trajectory. Try saying that after a beer. But do you know what? In a few years, we've just seen plans of the stadium and the sports quarter, not the stadium yet, but the sports quarter, and what's coming. We've heard details of what's coming. So there's going to be plenty of room for people. I know it's not ideal for now, but there's going to be opportunities.
Don't worry, lads. We're all on a 5-year waiting list. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Right, I'm going to introduce this back again now. So a few years ago, for those that have listened to the podcast for a long time, we used to put in local music to break up our podcast and chatting and whatnot. It's coming back, and it's coming back because we're doing these live, so we can break them up a little bit, grab a drink, nip to the toilet if we need to, tell kids off, do whatever else.
Hopefully not.
No. Kick cats out the room. But yeah, we're going to bring it back. So we're going to start trying to put a bit of local music, support local. And up first this week, it's the Ansells and Sweep It Under the Carpet.
I took the long way home last night, 'cause something just didn't feel right in my mind. I had a thought behind the wheel. If all of this was ever real, it's not how it feels. Have I taken all my chances? Won't take your love for granted. My questions don't need answers, no. I can tell by the look on your face. Sweep it under the carpet, forgetting what it was. We'll start again in the morning. I'll take you out tomorrow. Sweep it under the carpet, forgetting what it was. We'll start again in the morning. I'll take you out tomorrow. I think I saw you in my dream, so I went straight back to sleep. You know I see you again. You don't know what you should believe. You're poisoned by the things you read, and it's getting you down. Haven't taken all my chances. Won't take your love for granted. My questions don't need answers, no. I can tell by the look on your face.
That was the Ansells. Cheers, lads. Thank you for that. Sweep it under the carpet. Helped us break it up, and neither of us went for a wee or got a drink or
Or got
told
another drink.
kids
Yeah.
off or kicked cats out of the room or anything. We just chatted and wondered whether we'd missed anyone yet. So, do you want to continue with your list?
Yeah,
I've
sure.
got some things that Ben from Blues Breakdown sent to me here. So, as they come up, I'll try and read a bit about the ones that you're saying.
What have we got? So there's a couple of midfielder links. So I'll just bring them up very briefly. Because I don't know. I know we've had interest in these players before, but I don't know if we still hold them now. But there was Charlie Savage at Reading
Right,
and
hold it there.
Lewis
Hold it there.
Travis at Blackburn.
Savage. So this is from Ben. Savage, kind of an all-action midfielder, like he said, a bit like that Icelandic lad we were linked to for about 3 days.
Oh yeah, the another former Joey Goodson, Good Johnson.
Good Johnson.
Yeah.
Much more forward thinking than what we've got currently.
Even more so than Mark Leonard.
Oh, don't know. So Leonard was actually mentioned in the chat earlier on. I forgot to come back to that. Do you think there's anything in the loan?
Unfortunately, yes. I think there is. It bothers me because I think he. I mean, is that your child?
It is, yeah. I've stopped the music and she's started getting a bit upset.
Do you need to go? Or...
So I'm hoping that she settles down or my missus goes into her in a sec. If she carries on, then I might have to put the music on again.
Well, yeah. so what we're saying? Yeah, the Mark Leonard thing. If we just go a quick off on a tangent due to the question, yeah, I think that is. I think there's potential there for him to go on loan. I hope he doesn't because I genuinely think he's a really, really talented footballer. And Ben said there about more forward thinking than anyone else in the squad. I mean, I think Mark Leonard is quite a very forward thinking midfielder. That's probably
too forward thinking.
Too forward. It was at least too forward thinking last season. So yeah, I'd be disappointed to see him because I think if he goes out on loan, my feeling is we probably won't see him again. That's gut feeling, but I hope he stays because I think he's got a lot to offer.
I agree. I agree.
So
I do think on that it could be. So Ben's just said in the chat, Savage wouldn't be an upgrade on Leonard, in my opinion. No. The only point that I could see with Leonard would be that he feels unhappy about the amount of game time that he's getting, and that he is not feeling positive about the amount of game time that he would get this coming season. I'd like him to stick around. I think that there's much more to come from him, and if Davis sees an opportunity to mould him into the player that he wants, like he maybe saw at the end of last season, there's a player.
I think it's that Davis will have made his mind up about a handful of players, and most of those players are players that didn't have any look in last season. They were the ones that went out on loan. So you'd at least think that Leonard gets pre-season to prove himself. I've got confidence in him because I think he's a very, very, very talented footballer. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I hope he stays. The other person I was going to mention was Lewis Travis. Now, we held a slight interest in him last summer, so again, we've been linked to him. He's another midfielder that I quite I like the look of. Whether or not the interest is strong, I don't know, but I think we are going to need probably at least one more centre midfielder. I don't think we've got any more on that list that I can think of. Obviously, we looked at the Icelandic lad that moved very quickly, but that's what have you got there? Have you got something there?
McBurney.
Yeah, so I'm in a minority. I think I actually quite like McBurney because I think he's quite an intelligent, clever player who links play pretty well. Um, I I think he'd be really really good foil for someone like Stansfield.
Just have to control the off the field McBurney. Or to be fair, even on the field as well.
Yeah, I don't know if he just gets a bad rap. I'm not sure. Like, I don't. He just looks like a bit of a scruff bag, doesn't he? I think that's a lot of people look at him and just don't like the look of him, so they instantly make their mind up straight away that he's not. He's technically just not a decent footballer. Okay, he struggled scoring goals recently, but I think he's actually far more intelligent than given credit for. I wouldn't be adverse to it, and I think we do still need to bring in one or two older championship ready players like him. So, or with championship experience. I wouldn't be against it. In that bucket as well, you've got Joe Geldhart as well, Leeds, who spent a lot of time injured. Was obviously quite highly rated at Wigan. Hasn't really kicked on. Can play in a number of positions behind the striker and as a forward. Technically sound. I quite like him. I think you'd only want to take him on loan because in terms of injury history, you probably wouldn't want to commit to anything long term. So it'd be like a loan with a view to a buy. And the other one was very quietly. I think there's something in the Evan Ferguson thing at Brighton as well.
Has that even been out there?
I think it's been mentioned elsewhere, but there's definitely something in that. But we will be one of about 20 clubs that were interested in Evan Ferguson. So it's all about trying to sell the project. And you know what? That isn't always going to work. There are other players will want us to go to other teams. The project isn't always as convincing as we'd like to think it is.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
I thought the project just meant that you sign people. You just
yeah,
project.
We'd like to think that, wouldn't we? We'd definitely like to think that, but I think people need to just like calm down a bit. We're on that, like, yes, we're a club going in the right direction. Yes, we've got a lot of ambition. No, it doesn't mean a player lacks ambition if they go somewhere else. So yeah, there's a lot of players to choose from.
Few coming in. That young Spanish lad from Leeds. Anything in the Joseph link from Leeds?
Well, we obviously had interest in him last season, didn't we, as well? But they wanted to keep him. It wouldn't surprise me because I think he would suit the system particularly well. And he can play in a number of positions, which we know Chris Davis likes versatility. So it looks like he might be going elsewhere. He's another one that could cost quite a bit. But I would suggest that we probably had a go, or we will have a go at trying to bring him in as well. But
Well, Ben said on McBurney, Joseph, Ferguson, Gelhardt, lesser extent in brackets. All physical profiles of strikers, tall, can handle themselves, none particularly quick, but more focal point number nines. To beat them.
yeah, and I think that we probably still will bring somebody in. Now, we've obviously got Dykes there.
Dykes was mentioned in the chat earlier.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's still an opportunity for him there? So the question there was, will Dykes stick around, or is it possible that he might be up for offers?
I mean, I think what we've got to get used to with this new era of Blues is that probably shouldn't get. I don't think many people are attached to Lyndon Dykes, to be fair. But I think getting attached to players, we probably shouldn't get in the habit of doing that because I think the club are going to be quite ruthless. There'll be quite a turnover. Yes, there's probably going to be a core of players that they want to see go through the leagues with them. Then there's going to be a whole bunch of other players that just might come in for one season just to do a job, and then they'll be shipped out and sign someone else, because the squad's going to evolve all the time and improve all the time. I think Dykes, for what it's worth, I think Dykes will be given another opportunity in the Championship. He's what as I referred to a few minutes ago, a battle-hardened Championship-ready player. He knows the league. He knows what it takes. He's not going to be a prolific goal scorer, but I mean, I was saying to a couple of family members yesterday at my nan's wake that I thought personally, I think we talked about it before on here, that some of the best games Stansfield played were when he had Dykes alongside him. It seemed to be more effective because Dykes made a lot of space for him. Whether or not they see that as a long-term thing, I don't know. But I think we do need another physical forward. I think we need more physical. This is a very physical podcast. We need more physicality in the squad. Full stop. I think that's one of the things we need to be focusing on as well.
Well, Ben's actually said in the chat, Ben from Blues Breakdown has just said, we'll absolutely need a more focal point type forward next season. Obviously, they still need to be technically proficient, but being able to make the ball stick at the top in some games will be crucial. Yeah. And then he said, let's get physical.
That's what I said. I was trying to get you into that earlier. That's when I said it, but you didn't do it. You didn't do it. But you've done it for Ben, so thanks very much. Yeah.
Cheers, Ben.
Yeah. Thank you, Ben. Yeah. That was it on terms of players. Unless there's anyone else we've forgotten or any players that anyone else wants to bring up whilst we are sitting here chatting.
While we are sitting here chatting and waiting to see whether anyone does, do you want to do this?
Aye. Send him to Cornella.
I was reluctant to give these people, this person, this website any airtime.
Because it was quite clearly... it was quite clearly bait.
It was very much bait, and I don't want to give them the satisfaction of people clicking on on their link or on their website and help monetize their articles. So I later realised though as well. So there's a website called, is it Wrexham Insider? Now actually, Wrexham fans absolutely detest Wrexham Insider. They can't stand them. Yeah. So a little bit of digging around earlier, I found out that actually all Wrexham fans hate them as well, and all they do is just write shit and goad people. But I'd already made my mind up after reading it once, because I had the misfortune of clicking on it and falling for it, that they were going there. So I'll give you a few headline bits from it, so you don't have to go to their website and give these fools money. So I think one of the headlines was, Wrexham officials will surely be laughing at Birmingham City's supposedly ambitious summer transfer plan. What Birmingham City are planning to do this summer may prove minuscule in comparison to what Wrexham looks set to do in the transfer market. Okay, just like last season then. Yeah. Parkinson this was a great one. So Parkinson had made one very impressive signing with Wrexham, completing the deal for Ryan Hardy. So actually, I thought that was quite a good signing for them. That's a lot younger than they normally like to sign, but well done.
It's not any knee replaced yet.
It wasn't that bit. It was the follow-up bit that said, where Birmingham City, meanwhile, have signed the unknown Phil Neumann on a free transfer. The same Phil Neumann that won Best Defender in Bundesliga 2 last season. So, yeah, totally unknown. And then there was a couple that they've managed to, some of the wording is I'll credit, because a lot of people did take the bait here, but Birmingham City's seemingly feeble plans for 5 or 6 new signings look set to be trumped by Wrexham this summer. Unlike last season, it could be Wrexham who storm ahead of Birmingham City in the standards. So
I'm going to jump in there, because you've just said about the bits how it reads. To me, it just read like they'd put into ChatGPT, write a bait article.
Yeah. I think there's been a few times when I thought about it and AI did creep into did creep into my head as someone that never uses AI to do any presentations and stuff. Ever. I never use it. Yeah, I did wonder. But hey, Wrexham Insider, don't click on their website. And Luke Phelps, the guy that wrote the article, you are going to Cornella.
You are. Then when I can find the button.
Look at that.
Aye,
Seamless.
aye, aye. Send him to Cornella.
Couple of little chats that have come in. Zarking, Kone.
Oh yeah, that was one, wasn't it? Yeah, I don't. Who was it? We've done our homework on him. Was the article, wasn't it? Was it EFL analysis? It was Graham Bailey, actually, who used to be actually not a bad. He used to work for Sky Sports and used to do quite a lot of Middlesbrough, Sunderland, Newcastle. He seems to be working for one of these like sub sites now, but yeah, I just don't know.
The Middlesbrough
Obviously-
fans hate him, and he's been kicked off, and he's gone and he's now started a podcast with an ex-journalist that was local for working for.
No, that sounds familiar though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Does he release articles at really poorly timed
Yeah,
moments? Yeah.
Hey.
Used to.
Let's save that for another day. He, yeah, I don't. Kone is a. I mean, I could see why most clubs would be interested in his rise to prominence, but you know, there's a lot to be said for the back end of last season where he just disappeared. Like, I mean, in general, Wickham kind of disappeared and fell off, didn't they? And it's probably no surprise that when their wheels started to fall off, he stopped scoring. So, yeah, I'm sure we have watched him or had some form of interest in him, but for the money that Wickham probably want, given that they have a fair bit of dosh behind them now, I would suggest it's probably not something we're going to explore with any. What's the word? Just explore.
Genuine interest.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably his interest, but they're probably not going to follow much of it.
Tough. Thorough
Physical interest.
Physical interest. That's good. Physical.
Any others in there?
So one more. Can you see Beedle staying and be happy to be a squad player? That was from Miles Garrington, and then Zarking said he'd be great for cover, wouldn't he? For me, this is one where I could see him leaving. I could absolutely see him saying, "Yeah, I'm happy to go after here there." But I could also see him sticking around. It's like last season, never kicked up a fuss when he wasn't in the team and lost his place. It was just, I know that he was out with injuries as well, but there were times where he was on the bench and he was just not being used.
He did say himself at the end of the season that it was a tough season for him because he didn't play as much as he probably thought he was going to. He's still a very, very, very good player, and he'll still be a very, very good player in the Championship. Now, it's up to him whether he wants to be part of
The project.
I mean, we made a run at him to keep him at the club. He was, at that time, we thought was going to be the most important signing of the season, despite the fact it was still fairly early, and it turned out to be middle of the pack, really, compared to everything else we did. But I mean, all you're doing if you sell Bielik is weakening the squad, and you're gonna have to bring somebody else in. Obviously, you can play in a couple of positions, 2 or 3 positions, really, if you will. I'm like you though. I could definitely see him going, but I think the people that are in that camp, your people like maybe who we were talking about earlier on, your Mark Leonards or your Christian Bielix, or to a certain extent maybe Alfie May, but the players on those fringes but sort of semi-regular, I think you could at least see them stay until January, see how things go, and then decisions will be made at that point. So there's still going to be a lot of comings and goings. I mean, there's going to be a number of all the players we had out on loan are probably going to leave permanently. I would think maybe Brandon Keeler will be the only one that potentially stays. I think everyone else will be on their bike, but there's still going to be quite a bit of turnover. Again, I would have thought. Hopefully not.
But-
Hopefully we do keep Bielik because he would be good cover, but he'd also be a great starter. Like he's still a very, very good Championship player and better than a lot of teams in the Championship have. So
You stopped very suddenly then. I just muted because my daughter started crying again.
oh, sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I could see, I could really see both sides that we would like to hold on to him, use him as that squad player, use him as a starter, use him as a rotation player, but also that he wants to move on. He sees himself as needing to be playing games. I could see that and completely understand it.
Do you think, and I guess we'll find out, because I have a feeling that it'll change. Do you think Chris Davies still keeps him as captain, or do you think he'll be club captain now and Clara will become team captain? Because obviously there's no Duke for club captain. So do you think Bielik becomes like the club captain and Clara becomes like the first team captain, or do you think it stays with Bielik?
It's a tough one because the situation.
You know what happens when you change that captain is morale drops.
The football manager.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then half of the team hate you. So, he's leaving anyway. I mean, it's real life, isn't it? I think Bielik's probably grown up enough to understand that if he's not going to be starting every game, like a conversation will be had. So there's a shout from Zarking, actually. Clara for captain, Alsop second. Vice captain. I could see that, but maybe not if Beedle's starting the season.
Also captain of the bench. Because we get more subs this season as well, don't we? As well, so I mean, there's a lot to be said for those 2 extra places on the bench. Because there's so many people that missed out last season that it does make a difference.
And no Duke to
no Duke, yeah.
Anyway,
we know what he's gone on to do.
I don't think they've announced it
officially.
No.
The head of something. Definitely the head of something. It's meant to be.
Yeah, it's got to be the head of something. Right then, are we done?
I think so. The only other thing that was worth bringing up? There was just the we've got a new groundsman. Is it who is it? Did he win groundsman of the year?
Yeah, for Leicester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big move.
Made nice Premier League carpets.
He did.
Yeah.
Didn't he like mow their badge into like the centre circle or something as well?
Some crazy patterns. It was very good.
Yeah.
Whether we'll see them or whether did they stop doing it? Did they get banned?
I don't think you're allowed to do it. I don't know. I might be completely wrong, but I just like mow a big cock and balls in there or something.
Let's see that one.
So talking about that, I signed a what's it called? A waiver form for something we're doing whilst we're away in Wales with can't even do it. And my mother-in-law and my father-in-law and my missus knew instantly what I'd put on there. It wasn't very well disguised. I says, well, if they make me do it again, I'll just do the same thing again and tell them it's my signature.
That's what I do. Here's my passport. One more quick one that we've had just come in. Pond Frogs. Yokoyama on the way out. What are we thinking? I think that's... I think we mentioned it on the last one. I think it's a done...
I think this
deal anyway.
Something's gone on there, whatever it is. It's maybe it just hasn't settled. Hasn't got. There are quite a few Japanese players at Genk, certainly in the young team that's in the 2nd or 3rd division, whichever they're in. But I assume he'll probably end up going back there, or maybe even back to Japan or something. Although by the looks of it, we could be signing half of Japan anyway and bring them in, so he might feel quite at home. Who knows? But
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see what happens there. But I think pretty much from, as I've said, the majority of the loan players, if not all of them, I think will be moved on. Bar Brandon Keeler, I think Chris Davies quite likes him, and that was a development loan. Whereas the other ones, I think, were just get them out and make space in the squad.
You see, I got told something different the other day about Keeler, but
Well, we've seen him linked to a number of different teams like Blackpool and stuff like that. But yeah, we'll go on. What did we talk about Keeler? Because you said it now, so you might as well mention it.
that he's potentially available for a transfer.
Okay.
Permanent. But I wouldn't, and I didn't
No.
think that that's where Davis would have held him.
No.
Another loan, I would have thought, because he really started to shine.
Another loan would be fine. League One, you'd obviously want to go League One for a season, and yeah, why not? Was it Blackpool and Lincoln? I think that were. Someone else had linked to him, but yeah, go
I think I said last week I knew a lad who's a Bradford fan, and he pretty much said that he probably wouldn't get much game time unless their starting players were injured. So probably not back to there, ideally. Right?
They remained in League Two, did they not? Anyway, I think did they?
No, they got promoted,
Did they get promoted?
didn't they? Oh, hang on. No, you might be right. Was it Wembley that they got to? No, they got promoted. They swamped them all on the pitch, didn't they? They were all on the pitch
Oh
celebrating.
no, it was. Yes, he did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. You might be right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they got
yeah. Sorry.
Third. How many teams went up?
Third. Yeah, three.
Top
They
three.
have three, and then then they have the
And then
playoffs.
playoffs, yeah. I thought I was
It was
losing my
Wimbledon,
marbles a
wasn't
little
it?
bit.
It
Then.
was at Wimbledon that went up from.
I can't remember. I'm not looking that far down now, mate. I'm looking up.
I did. Yeah, I did watch that. It was Warsaw, Wimbledon, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
But,
I was out on
it was
that
a
day.
terrible game that was. But anyway, yeah, I think that's us. Nice to be back.
Yeah.
I guess it'll be a few more weeks until we're back again, because I'm going to be on holiday from this time next week. Actually, I'll be in Dublin, and then I'll be heading over to Wales the following day. So
And
yeah,
if you
I'll be back.
if you're on Strava, follow Matthew, because he's going to be doing his. He's just does ridiculous runs all the time.
I won't get away of doing those distances on holiday. I might get, if I'm lucky, might be able to get a 10 miler in, but that'll be the max that I'll be allowed to do, because I'll be I'll have to do it whilst everybody else is asleep, and I feel like early in the morning when no one else is getting it.
Strava name?
I think it's just Matthew Elliott. I'm not even sure. But you follow me.
Not running. I don't. I'd never keep up, mate.
I've been having fun quite a lot. I'm getting back into doing long distance again lately. Yeah, just Matthew Elliott.
Just Matthew
Port
Elliott.
Stewart, one man and his dog. There you go.
There you go. Give him a follow, and you can watch him running around Wales like a madman.
Or just round here. Whatever.
Anyway,
Yeah,
right.
the more the merrier.
Thank you all for listening. You've just had a message from Zarking, said, "Have a good holiday, bud. Great show, lads. Keep it on."
Thank you very much.
What a lovely way to finish it. Have a lovely holiday, Matthew. And
That's appreciated. I need it, so I'm looking forward to it, even though it's still going to be rough. But, hey.
thanks. Have you just had a follow on Strava?
No, that was Fitbit. That was my Fitbit telling me to go to bed, basically. So,
right. Thanks to you all for listening. Thank you for getting involved in the chat as well. It's good to be back. We'll see you in a few weeks. Matthew, have a great holiday and keep right on.
keep right on.